if you want to get a handle on your finances, period, you have to budget. Period. Like, hey y'all, welcome to Ashley's Affluence. I'm Ashley, and in this video, I'll be talking about how I'm able to spend $3,000 on debt a month off one income. Y'all. And the tips that I'm going to be providing you, you can start implementing immediately. Stay tuned until the end, because that's where the juice is at. So I know this is so cliche and so basic, which is why it's my number one tip. So I can go ahead and move on to the other juicy stuff, but create a budget. Simple, just create a budget. Like, I don't know what else to tell you. You need to create a budget. You need to mark down all your expenses and so forth and start making a budget. That's one way that will help you achieve any type of goal that you have. Like, whether it's financial or not, you need to sit down and prioritize. So that's definitely the first cliche one, but yeah, budgeting. You need to budget. Simple. I'll create a whole separate video on the tools that I use to help me create my own personalized budget. So stay tuned for that. We got that cliche one out the way. The second thing that I have implemented is having a minimalist mindset / having minimalist habits. And basically what a minimalist mindset is just being very cognizant about what you buy. And it's just really in terms of everything, any and everything, rather than being a consumer, just kind of taking a step back and really think about the purchase. So for me, like when I'm online shopping and I see, that sale at Banana Republic, J. Crew, wherever it is, before I actually make the purchase, what I'll do, I'll put it in my cart and I'll just let it sit there for a few days. And if I forget all about it, I won't buy it. Simple. Like, I don't make purchases within 24 hours. I at least wait 48 to 72 hours to see if I still, actually want that item. Granted, if it's something that I have been having my eye on for a while and I do see that it's having a sale, then yeah, I would definitely go ahead and make that purchase because I know that I'm winning in the long run because I'm saving some money, obviously, because I've been eyeballing an item. But yeah, I definitely try to have a minimalist mindset, and I definitely try to think about, like, why do I need this item? Like, does it really need, or does this have a place in my life currently? And I really just try to justify any of my buys. Third tip is getting rid of anything that potentially is weighing you down on achieving your goals. One thing I did was sell my car. If you haven't seen it, shameless plug, but there it goes. I sold my car. It was one of my biggest debts that I had, so I got rid of it. It was no longer a necessity, and that kind of goes back to the minimalist mindset, minimalist habits, assessing like things that you have in your life and if you really still need them. And if they no longer serve a purpose, letting it go. My car no longer served a purpose, so I let it go. If you have clothes that no longer serve a purpose in your life, that you don't wear, you skip over every single time over the past year plus, sell that. Poshmark Poshmark, eBay, those are easy ways to make a come up. There are also local places that you can go and sell your clothes. Pluto's Closet. There's a place in Charlotte called Cheapskate, something like that. There's another one. There's exchange places in like every single city. You just need to do your research and find them, but those are like the basic ones that I know. So yeah, just getting rid of things that no longer serve you, that will help free out any debt. So yeah, even if that is that credit card that you got at that department store that you know you shouldn't be shopping at, that get you in trouble all the time, close it, just close it, freeze it. Some people do that whole freezing method. So, but I mean, that's so stupid to me. Like, why are you freezing your credit card? Just cancel it. If you can't control yourself, if you cannot control yourself to where you have to freeze your credit card, you just need to cancel it. You need to cut it up and cancel the credit card. Okay? But if you have a car similar to me, like in my scenario, I was paying car insurance, a car note, I had to get gas. You have to keep up with like quarterly maintenance. Those are all expenses that I just eliminated. If you're like me and you live in the city and you don't necessarily need a car, there's other alternatives. Like me, I can literally walk to the grocery store because we have one in the city and it's only 10 minutes away. I can walk. And if it's all that bad, like I can have the food delivered to me, and that's still cheaper than a monthly car payment. So just finding out what works. I was even having a conversation with my friend, and she said that she knew a guy that rode a bike for 2 years. 2 years, y'all. 2 years. Until he paid off all his debt. Talk about committed. And then, like, I mean, yes, sometimes you do need a car depending on, like, where you live, what type of job you had. Like, I had a sales job before my current role that I have now, which I'm in HR. But before that, I had a sales role, so I had to drive a lot of places, so I needed a car. Many of you do not need a car. Many of you can ride the bus. I know some people don't want to ride the bus, but think about the benefits of it. Someone's driving you all the time. You can do other things while riding the bus, catching up on a show, listening to music, listening to a podcast, watching Ashley's Affluence on YouTube. Again, shameless plug. I'm just saying, these are definitely benefits you can look into, but just eliminating things that are just an excessive expense right now for you, especially if you're trying to pay off debt like me. And my last and final tip, this is the holy grail tip, and if you stayed this long, give me a thumbs up. Now, some of you may not like this tip. It took me a while to like really grasp this tip. It took me a while. Like, it took me a lot of listening to millionaires, motivational speakers for it to be ingrained in my head. But it finally clicked. It finally clicked. I live off 30% of my income. That is the biggest thing that helped me. Living off 30% of my income. Yes, 30%. To some, that may be a lot, or some, that may be a little. Either way, living off 30% of your income will definitely help your financial situation. And here's why. When you live off 30% of your income, you can now allocate way more money to different things. I know some people say just lower your expenses. Well, this is a way of lowering your expenses, but prioritizing it in a different way, right? So what I did to help me live off 30% of my income, I calculated, or I just looked at my pay stubs really, what I get paid in 1 month. I'm a salary employee, so my paychecks are very consistent, so I don't have to necessarily guess. I know some people are non-exempt or hourly employees, so sometimes you have overtime. I would say when you're calculating your 30% of your income, I would say just focus on the standard hours, which is 40 hours a week. So calculate your 40 hours, right? And I'm just gonna put up example on the screen. So let's say you would now multiply that by 30%. So that would give you the amount that you should live off of. Yes, whatever amount that is, that's what it is, okay? So that should include rent, utilities, groceries, and thus forth in the 30%. Now, I know for some of you that might be a little tight. I ain't gonna front, that kind of hurt me, you know? But that's where all the other tips come in place that I gave you before this. Getting a budget, having minimalist mindset habits, and getting rid of some of your other expenses. This will help in the long run when you have now lowered your expenses. Now, this may not be something that a lot of people can start immediately. For example, if you have rent or a mortgage, that may not be something you can necessarily change immediately. However, you could look in, if you have a mortgage, you could look in refinancing it. I don't know the ins and outs. I would definitely say do a lot of research before going into refinancing on it. But if you have rent and you're in the middle of the lease, then I definitely say look at lowering all your other expenses if you can, such as your phone bill, internet, car. I'm sorry, I'm just always going to mention that. I'm like so happy that I don't have a car no more. So I'm just like really kind of like low-key encouraging everyone, just sell your car. But anyways, yeah, so if you're in the middle of the lease and maybe it is kind of dragging you down, because that usually is people's largest expense, which is your mortgage as well as your rent or your rent. So find a way to either get out of it, but do the math, people. Sometimes it just doesn't make sense to break a lease. It's better to just ride it out. But sometimes if you talk to your lease, I know with COVID going on, some apartment companies or management companies are willing to work with you. But yeah, that's one thing I did. I definitely looked into a place that would allow me to live off 30% of my income. Like, I was not compromising on that. And in that, it made me have to get a studio apartment. My apartment's small, but I knew what I was trying to achieve, and that was debt-free life. So yeah, I lowered my rent substantially. I was paying $1,400, and when I was paying for parking, it was $1,500, which was ridiculous, which is why I tell you, I know how much rent is. So I know this is gonna be a lot, but yeah, you need to make that sacrifice in the time being until you have officially paid off your debt. And even when I pay off debt, I'm not sure if I would really just even still spend that much on rent again. Like, it just really doesn't make any sense. But yeah, lower your expenses, live off 30% of your income. I know, there's only so much you can do in terms of lowering your expenses, and so you may have to look into other sources or other streams of income, side hustles, looking at investments, and thus forth, whichever fits your circumstances. But these are things that I implemented that helped me be able to pay $3,000 a month towards debt. So make those sacrifices. It will pay off in the long run. Although I live in a studio apartment, like, I'm single, I can do that. It's just me in these four walls, and I'm perfectly fine. And you will be too. And I know this is just a temporary setback for a major comeback. And you have to look at it the same way. We can do this. So yeah, I hope these tips help. Hopefully start implementing them today, right now, to start your debt-free journey. But yeah, thanks for tuning in. Until next time, peace.